Welcome, welcome. Very important question. Very important, especially in these times. What are the responsibilities of adult children to their parents? What are the responsibility of adult children to their parents? Very important question for these times. We all know the responsibilities of the parent to the child. No disagreement about that. Unconditional love for the child must ensure the survival, feed and clothe and house, and give emotional sustenance, spiritual sustenance. We all know and agree on 100% the responsibilities of the parent to the child. But it's less clear in these times what is the responsibilities of the adult children to the parents. There's some big disagreements about this. It's controversial, but I'm going to clarify that controversy, and I'm going to give you very good answers that you're going to find helpful in the way you think of this and the way you live this. I'm Dr. Arnold Nerenberg. I've been in practice over 50 years as a clinical psychologist. I've walked upon this earth over 84 years. I figured a few things out. Took a while. Now, my other credentials. I have 7 children. 7. And so I'm a father, husband to my beautiful, wonderful wife, Maheen. Husband to her, to have her for my wife. And of course, I've been a son to my mother and to my father, a wonderful mother and father. So good to me, and I was as good to them as I could be. Of course, I'm another generation, so it's a different way of thinking about this. So first, I'm going to talk about what many young people of this generation have. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with it, but I'm going to tell you what it is. And here it's based on this premise. The child will say, I didn't ask to be born. I didn't ask to be born. You and my father had sex and made love, and I came into this world. I didn't have any say. Not my decision. I was brought here without my consent. Now, to some of you, that might sound a little far-fetched, but I'm just telling you the position that exists for many people in certain cultures, not all cultures I'm talking about. I'm an American, particularly in our culture here, and perhaps in many Western cultures. I think there's a very different idea in the Eastern cultures. You brought me into this world without my consent. You have to really think about what that means, because without understanding this, many parents will be very hurt and angry. I know many parents so hurt and angry about their children, very disappointed in their children, because they don't understand that premise. You brought me into this world without my consent. I have no say in it, and here I am. The implication of that is, you owe me. May sound far-fetched, but I just want you to know that's the attitude. You owe me. So therefore, because I didn't ask you to bring me here, you owe me. That's sustenance and love, nurturance and education, and shelter and clothing. You owe me that. You owe me. But because I owe you nothing, and you owe me everything, you don't have any rights to expect anything from me. Don't expect anything from me. You brought me here without my consent. Don't expect anything from me. And certainly do not demand anything from me. Oh, no. Oh, no. Because I owe you nothing. Now, if you do demand or expect from me, you're going to be disappointed. You're going to get hurt. You're going to be angry because I'm not bound by your expectations of me. I've got my life to live. And if you're nice to me and I like you, I'll call you. We'll have some kind of relationship. But don't expect to be a priority. I've got my spouse, my kids, my friends, my colleagues. They're my priority. This is the idea. I'm presenting this to you first. This is one viewpoint, and it's more prevalent than you think. I know a lot of parents who are very angry about this, frustrated, disappointed. I know a lot of people, because of that orientation, says, why would I want to have children with this attitude? Why? Heck, I'll have a dog. Or I'll get a cat. And that'll be my son and my daughter. Cheaper. As the mother, I don't have to go through the labor pains. The dog is always happy to see me. He's not going to abandon me. Gives me a lot of love. My cat loves me. If I'm feeling pain in a part of my body, my cat comes and sits over there. When I come home, they're at the door, my cat or my dog or both. Why would I want to have a human child? So, as a result, a lot of people don't want to have children. They have dogs and cats. They take them to, if they have a dog, take them to a dog restaurant, get them some dog cappuccino, get them some fresh baked dog treats, put the dog in a carriage, roll that dog along. Any medical expenses come up, pay for it. It's a lot cheap. It's still a lot cheaper than having a little human. A lot cheaper, less aggravating. And they don't have any disrespect. They just love me and grateful. I just have to feed them, give them some water, spend some time with them, and wonderful companions. Don't have to be changing the diapers. Just have to house train them a bit so they're not peeing and pooping in the house, but that doesn't take too long. So more and more people are going in that direction. If you go to certain communities, everybody's walking a dog. They're following along with little baggies to pick up the poop. It's a lot easier than having a little human. Now, let's take a look at history. There was a time when children were part of survival. Say 200 years ago, maybe 100 years ago. You had a farm. You're up in the morning. Your 5-year-old, 6-year-old gets out. Maybe starts getting wood for a potbelly stove, or milks the goat, milks the cow. Helps with household chores. It was part of survival. So people had a lot of children. One, they loved their children. But then they can have all this help, like a little army. They were part of survival. Now, the Industrial Revolution came. Even in the early days of the Industrial Revolution, children were in the factories working, bringing in money, doing something for the survival of the family. But now that's not like that. So now the attitude of adults, in America we're talking about, let children be children. Don't take away their childhood. Get what their child wants. Let them play. You want these games. You want these toys. I'm going to give you what I never had. All of these goodies. All of these opportunities I want for you, son. I never had it, but you're going to have it. My dear daughter, I love you. I'm going to spoil you. I'm going to give you everything you need, everything you want. Now, the children, for the most part, don't have any responsibilities in the home, for the most part. They're basically the parents giving to the child, potty training them, feeding them, buying the clothes, going shopping, cleaning after them, taking them to school. They're into athletics, driving them to their tennis games, driving them to their football games, driving them to soccer, driving them to the martial arts lessons, whatever you drive them to. So driving around. And then let's take them to Disneyland, and you're off to Disneyland. So we could say this. With that attitude, children went from being no longer part of survival. Children became pets. The child is a pet. The ways, if you want to really look at what's going on, that's your pet. Doesn't do anything for you, doesn't do anything for the household. I mean, for the most part. So they treat it as pets. But it's a very expensive pet. And for the most part, not a very grateful pet in our modern day society. For the most part. There are exceptions. But for the most part, not a grateful pet. Not going to come up and run to you and kiss you or just hug you all the time and be loyal to you, want to follow you around. You have some of that. But then as the child gets older, they have their own activities, their own friends, and parents are not that much anymore in terms of a priority for the child. But when you have a dog, you're always the priority. You're the center of his universe. You just sit at that door waiting for you to come home. He knows you're pulling up in that car. He's sitting there. I can't wait to see you. Can't wait. You come in, jumps on you, kisses you. Even a cat will come down from upstairs or wherever, and sit there. Here's your car, sees you. And not many demands, especially from a cat. You've got to look honestly what's going on in society. Cats and dogs, pets, are the new children. Your daughter, dog, your dog daughter, your dog son. You love them, and they love you. And they don't betray you. They don't disappoint you. When you call him, he comes. You come home, he comes to you. When you're lonely, you can talk to him, and you think he understands, but you hope he understands. Always shows you love. Not a lot of moodiness. And no disrespect to you. No talking back to you. Whew. A lot of people have human children. The kids start giving them attitude. Fighting with them. Disrespecting them. So when people see that going on, they say, why would I want to have a human child, which is nothing but a human pet, when I can get a real pet? I get a dog or a cat where it's all lovey-dovey and they're just grateful and they love me. These humans, well, they're not doing it. They're not doing it. Because the attitude is, from the child growing up, they get to hit their teens and go in their 20s and 30s. I didn't ask to be born. I didn't ask to be born. You brought me here without my consent. It all comes from that premise. So, of course, people are turning dogs for their daughters and sons and cats for their daughters and sons. That's the outgrowth of that. Now, that's the first part of what I want to say to you. I didn't make this up. I didn't make it up. I can't even say I like that it's that way. I can't. I'm just telling you, at 84 years of age, having seen what goes on in society with my wonderful, beautiful patients that I see that come to me, lovely, lovely people, the best I've ever known. And what they're telling me, what I see with my own eyes, I'm just calling it like it is. This is what's going on for a lot of children. Again, we're talking about America, the West. This might be different in the East, Eastern nations, but I'm telling you what's going on here. Now, let's look at all the religious books. The Bible, New Testament, the Old Testament, the Tabiatas from the high teachings, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita. I don't care what religion you want to talk about. Christianity, Catholicism, Baha'i, Islam, Hinduism, Zoroastrianism, Buddhism, Judaism. They don't say that. They don't say you don't owe your parents anything. Your parents owe you because you didn't ask to be born. None of them say that. Not one. Not one. I'm not saying you should believe any of these books. I'm just saying what's in all the religions, all the major religions. Honor thy parents. That's what they all say. Honor thy parents. Now, why is it they say honor thy mother and thy father, but they don't say honor thy children? What's up? Not one religion says to honor thy children. None. Think about it. They say honor thy mother and thy father. Not one says to honor thy children. There's a reason. Because it's just part of the DNA of a normal parent, not all parents, but normal parents will make sure that they give that child unconditional love. As a matter of fact, we parents love our children before they were conceived. And then after conception, even before they're born in the womb, we love them. Normal parent, we love that child. We don't know anything about the child. You find out the wife is pregnant, you love that child. You don't know if it's a boy, it's a girl, you know the name, you know the characteristics, the traits, nothing. I love that child. I'll die for that child. That's a normal parent. Then the child's born, the mother sacrifices at childbirth. They're carrying that child, and the childbirth, the pain, and the mother's always worrying. My child's all right. Is my son breathing? Goes to the crib. Is my son breathing? Is my daughter breathing? Goes over and checks. Is he breathing? He's got a little rash. What's that rash? Let's take him to the doctor. What's that rash? He's coughing a little bit. What's that cough? Worry, worry, worry. Concern. That's the nature of a normal parent. Not all parents, a normal parent. You want that child to have a good education. You put it work. The father is out there working all the time. The mother's probably out there working all the time, saving their money, putting money aside for their children, for their education. Make sure they have good clothing, nice house, a safe neighborhood, food on the table. And all the extras, the birthday parties, whatever they need or whatever they want. So a lot of times the parent becomes an entertainment committee. The real job of the parent is not entertainment, although it's nothing wrong with it. The real job is to spiritually guide that child. So the child shows respect to their elders, to all human beings. That turns to their divine nature, to God or whatever the highest values are, to teach them virtue, to teach them the way of honor. That's the job of the parent. Now, within this conception, I'm going to give you a totally opposite idea of what the child owes. I would say this. I gave you that one point of view. That's very prevalent. And I'm going to give you a different point of view. The other point of view, whatever a child does for the rest of their life, they can never repay what the parents did for them, and normal parents. They can never repay it. All the money and concerns and worry and sacrifice, and to give them the gift of life. A child becomes 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Their parents are alive or even they're dead. You still have an obligation to the dead. You can never discharge it from this point of view. And certainly, at all stages, there needs to be justice. It needs to be fair. The rights of each should be respected. The right of a child, the right of a parent. Well, we know the right of the child to be treated kindly, to not be abused, molested, or neglected, for survival and sustenance and nurturance. We know that's their right. But who talks about the right of the mother, the right of the father, the right of the grandparent? I'm not hearing much these times. I'm not hearing much in society. As a matter of fact, I look at my colleagues, not all, but many. If you say somebody's 20, 30 years old, goes for therapy, I've got this bothers me and that bothers me. I'm worried about this. I get depressed about that. I'm anxious about this. So let's look at your relationship with your parents. Fair enough. What did your father do to you? What did your mother do to you? Then they start investigating what was done. They're going, my God, your father did that, your mother did that. What? What? They did that? They said what? Wrong approach. The approach should be, let's explore what your parents did for you. What sacrificed them? Let's look at that. And then the child goes, I did this, and my mother did that, and my father was always here. They always loved me and looked after me and protected me, and all the things they did, all the great memories. Then whatever complaints you may have, then the child said, well, then the child could be an adult child. But this is something he did to me, something my mother did to me. But it's in the context of gratitude. Of all your father did for you, all your mother did for you. That changes perspective. It changes the severity of the complaint because you're looking at it in context. That's the correct approach. And for the most part, that's not happening. The approach is, your father did this, your mother did that. You have to draw your boundaries. All these big things, boundaries. You must have boundaries with your parents. And if they continue that kind of toxic behavior, just eliminate them from your lives. Well, they really that toxic? I'm sure there's some imperfections. I'm talking about a normal parent. I'm not talking about an abnormal parent. I'm talking about a normal parent, loved their child and did everything they could for the well-being of the child. But what's being solicited in these sessions is to get the complaints, which have some legitimacy, but it's not looking at the big picture. So what's required in these child-parent relationships is fairness, justice, honesty about what's the full story, and reciprocity. It's not just one-way street. Even with the dog, it's not a one-way street. You're feeding the dog, you're giving water to the dog, and the dog's giving you a lot of love and loyalty and companionship. I mean, there's some reciprocity. Reciprocity, that's a normal thing. Now, I know a lot of parents who are very, very angry. I've sacrificed for my son, I sacrificed for my daughter. And they can go on with all the things they've done, and it's all true. And they say, I don't even hear from them. I don't hear from him. I don't hear from her. I only hear from my children when they need something. They don't call to check in on me or see if I need something. And so there's a lot of anger. Oh. There's a lot of anger about children. Again, that's why more and more people go into having dogs and cats. A lot of anger. Oh, just hurt, frustration, anger, disappointment. Oh, very disappointed. And why? They say, I wasn't like that towards my parents. I showed respect to my mother. I showed respect to my father. I don't feel my children respect me. Well, of course they don't. Why would they? In their mind, I didn't ask you to bring me into this world, Mom. Hey, Dad, I didn't ask you guys to bring me into this world. You owe me. I don't owe you anything. Don't make any demands and have any expectations because I don't owe it to you. That's honestly what's going on. Now, some of you might say, well, Dr. Nerenberg, I think you might be exaggerating this. Look honestly at what I'm saying, what's going on as a culture, as a society. And look how many people are buying dogs and cats instead of having children. Look at it. Did you ever ask why? Everybody always liked animals. But this, people spending $5,000 on a dog. Expensive dogs, not just some mutt. You go to the pound and get a mutt. No, they're buying expensive dogs. And then that becomes their everything. So, oh, I can't stay away overnight. My cat needs me. I go home and be there for my cat because my cat will be lonely in the apartment by herself. It's that way, the cat child. Now, I'm going to make a proposal that there are two responsibilities that any fair-minded person will agree that every child has this responsibility to the parent. Two. Certainly what I expect from my children. Two definite responsibilities. Every child has these two responsibilities to every parent, every normal parent. I'm not talking about the ones that molested them and beat them and abandoned them. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about normal parents, which most parents are normal. Number one, a child has a responsibility to live the virtue and goodness that the parent showed them. The good character. To live a godly life if they were taught the way of God, or to be a decent human being, to live that way of decency, of honor, of goodness. Every child has that responsibility to live that life of the good that the parent showed them. Nobody's going to disagree with that. That's reasonable. Second responsibility of every child to the parent. Remember the good that your mother did for you. Remember the good that your father did for you. Remember it every day. Not just on Mother's Day or Father's Day, Christmas, Hanukkah. No, every day remember what your mother did for you, what your father did for you. The gifts, the gift of their love, the gift of life, the gift of your survival, the gift of your guidance. Two responsibilities. Two. And I think any reasonable man, any reasonable woman will agree that those two responsibilities should be expected from every child. Now, when they're living that virtuous life, and when they're remembering the goodness of their mother and their father, remembering the good traits, the good attributes, the good virtues, the good deeds, the sacrifices, when you're remembering that, any normal child, we're talking about normal, any normal child will want to do something back without a demand from the mother and the father, without an expectation, because you're remembering. You're becoming the good that you learned, and you remember the good that was done for you. Any normal person will say, wow, what can I do for you, Mom? What can I do for you, Dad? Hey, Dad, how you feeling? You having no problem getting around, Dad? Let me come over and mow the lawn for you. Let me at least do that. It's not because it's expected. It's because you're remembering the good. You're manifesting the goodness that you were given. That naturally leads to an involvement. It naturally leads to gratitude. Gratitude. Naturally, it's not like you have to be grateful. No. But when you have those two responsibilities to your parents, the natural response from a normal child, Mom, I'm so grateful to you. Dad, I'm so grateful to you. And you want to show it, not only in words, but in deeds. You say, what can I do? Gee, you're having trouble getting around? I come home from work, I'll drive you there. You need some food? Yeah, food. I'll go get it. Oh, you don't have enough money for rent this month? Hey, let me give it to you, Dad. There's no problem. What's mine is yours. No problem, Dad. Not because Dad say you owe me, no, because you feel grateful. And you're manifesting the goodness that you were shown by your mother and by your father. So that's what it comes down to. To manifest the goodness that your parents showed you, and to remember the good that they are and what they did. So in answer to the question, what are the responsibilities of adult children to their parents? That's the answer. Two responsibilities. And everything stems from that. Everything. Now, I know I've given you a lot of materials and told you things you hadn't thought about before. It took me a long time to put this together. 84 years, 7 children, and 50 years of being in clinical practice. I finally know what I'm doing, sort of. That's my best shot to you about the responsibilities that adult children have to their parents. So I'm now going to open up to our wonderful, beautiful guests that we have on our Zoom call today. And I want you to be honest about your thoughts.
Hey, Dr. Nerenberg.
Yes.
Joanne.
Joanne, always good to hear from you, Joanne.
We both had children that went through the same school together and everything.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. My son, who was a daughter, my son took care of somebody that had epileptic seizure. And he had almost died in his coffee shop. He took care of him and he loved him. And I kind of feel like that was me, you know?
Well, that's a beautiful, that shows that the goodness that you and his father brought into your lives and into the family life.
Beautiful human being.
Yes,
right?
Because that manifested the goodness that you brought. That's one of the responsibilities of a normal child towards his or her parents. Absolutely. Beautiful.
And I have another daughter who only has cats. You know, she's like, I don't want to have children. I want cats. And it's hilarious.
No, I'll tell you, there are a lot of people are like that. I just want a cat or a dog. Some even have just a bird, because you have some birds that sit on your shoulder and kiss you and talk. Those birds exist. I've seen them on some of my people that I talk to. Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
You know what, Dr. Nerenberg? I can't thank you enough.
Wow.
Cannot thank you enough for tonight's talk. You showed me I'm a good mom.
I'm glad you said that, because a lot of parents say, where did I go wrong?
No, I'm a good mom because of you.
Well, thank you so much. Well, every good that comes from me, I'm being honest. I'm not being humble. I'm not that good a guy. I align myself with the word of God, and all the good just sort of started pouring forth. So all the glory is God's, and I mean that sincerely. But it's a pleasure to be an instrument. Pleasure. Thank you, Joanne. You're always so uplifting, so loving, and you bring a light into wherever you are. I'm grateful to know
I
you.
wish people would realize what a wonderful person you are and how much you helped us.
Well, it's a two-way thing. I'm so grateful to be a witness to your life and to the lives of so many wonderful, beautiful people. It's a privilege for me. And by you being open to my guidance, you give more meaning to my life and you allow me to fulfill my calling and my destiny. So it's really a two-way thing.
You have given me honor. Thank you.
You're most welcome, dear Joanne. Yes, you have something.
I know you've had patients that were abused by their parents, mostly the father, but even after the abuse, they turned out to be decent people. And then they wanted to have some kind of relationship with the parent that abused them.
Yeah, so he's saying that some parents abused the children, might have beaten them or really hurt them. Maybe the father was even alcoholic or whatever. And then, but there are children who go beyond that, become decent human beings, and want to even do something for their father, have a relationship.
He's right.
I've seen a lot of people like that. I had. Remember, I called the forum.
She's right. I've known a lot of people that beg for a child, and then the child comes to this world, and they act like the child is like broken or something different or whatever.
Well, this is one. Let me say this. That thank you for that. Where the child was abused by the father or the mother, and I see so many cases where maybe the father was an alcoholic and was a mean drunk and beat the mother, beat the child. A lot of cases, and still with that. In fact, I had a video. I have many videos on this topic, many videos on the way of honor, many videos on these issues.
I know what you mean. But it's like, why do you pray to God to give you a baby, give you an angel? They gave you an angel, and he didn't give you the angel you wanted. And then you throw them away. Well,
here's a good question. The point is that most of us are not grateful enough for what was given to us. And one point, and that includes children not appreciating or being grateful for the gift of life. Instead, the idea is I didn't have to be born and you owe me, as opposed to, hey, Mom, Dad, this is all grace. This is all mercy from God. I didn't do anything to deserve being born. Thank you for bringing me here. There are hardships here, but there's so many wonders, amazing things going on. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. That, from my point of view, is a more correct position.
Throw them to the curb. It's not cool.
Well, it's what's going on a lot. You have parents who throw the kids to the curb, but more often you have the kids now throwing the parents to the curb. That's what's going on, but it can be corrected as the way of honor takes hold. And I'm defining honor as loyalty to the highest constructive values as enshrined in the 4 commands of honor. I've got a lot of lectures on those commands of honor. We can bring honor into ourselves, our families, and into the world. In the honor movement, that's what we do. Thank you again, Joanne. Joanne, who else would like to say something or ask a question?
Dr. Nerenberg.
Yes.
This is Christopher. How you doing?
Christopher, I'm always very happy to hear from you. You're such a wonderful, deep human being.
I appreciate this topic. It's a great topic, and I'd like to say that remember that even normal parents they make mistakes. Some of them were damaged by their families when they were young. Did they give you a roof? Did they provide food? Did they care for you? Did you have clothes? You got to remember that we need to appreciate everything they did because they did sacrifice more than we could ever pay back.
Did they have love? Here's the thing: a normal parent will show love. Every one of us, every one of us have our imperfections, and the question is: did the mother do all she could? Well, she was capable of. The father do all he could, what he's capable of. They did that, and you start counting, and you start really looking at all the things they did, and you remember them. You review them in your mind, and the gratitude will be there. I'm glad you said this, Christopher. We parents are imperfect human beings.
Yeah, you know what? We have to really reach out to our parents because they'll be gone soon. Parents are gone. My mother died last year. She was 91.
My condolences, Christopher. Let me tell you something. You and I You're over 60. I'm well over 60. I'm 24 years beyond 60. We have that idea, well, the parent's not going to be here, appreciate them while they're here. That to me is a very reasonable idea. But if you come, but let's look at the viewpoint that's very common now. I didn't ask to be born. I don't owe you anything. And I don't have to appreciate you. I don't owe you that appreciation. I don't owe you any gratitude. Whatever you did, you had to do because you brought me here. That was your job. But I don't have a job towards you. That attitude, that point you're making, appreciate your mom while she's here, appreciate your dad while he's here. Why?
Well,
with that point of view, that they're not going to appreciate.
And reach out to them and communicate with them, because if we don't, we will never have an opportunity if they die to reach out and forgive, and the whole deal about forgiveness, it heals you.
Totally.
It's just part of our personal healing and our journey through this world.
Well, I agree with you 100%. I agree with your philosophy. I agree that appreciate your mom while she's here, your dad while he's here. I think, now let's put it this way. You know who agrees with everything I'm saying and what you're saying? Everything? Any parent that's over 50 years old. Ha! You all agree. Now, talk to somebody that's 20 or 30, 35. A son or a daughter who's 25, 35, or even 40. See if they agree. I'm going to tell you, a lot of them don't have that same thought. As reasonable as what you're saying is, as much as I personally agree with that value system, as much as all the divine educators taught that, I'm going to tell you, I think the people are going to like my video, and some people are going to love this video. It's going to be people over 50, over 60. I don't think people 20 and 30 are necessarily going to like this video. It's a different attitude. I don't think teenagers will. I don't think 20-year-olds will. I don't think 30-year-olds. I don't think they're going to like this. In fact, they're going to be feel like, hey, Doc, what are you trying to make me feel guilty? Don't try to make me feel guilty. I have no responsibility to my mother and father. That's really a lot. A lot of the children, a lot of the adult children will have that. But any of us over 50 or 60 will agree with everything I've said. Just remember, that's the divide.
Young people do not respect their elders, and it's sad because when I was young, you were supposed to respect your elders.
You know what? One of the laws of honor is this: extreme respect always. Not just respect, but extreme respect, particularly our elders. That concept, or the concept that I didn't ask to be born, you owe me and I don't owe you anything, that will totally dissolve the concept of respect. Respect then becomes irrelevant. What matters is your responsibilities to me, and I don't have to be grateful. You just have to do that. That's your job, and there's no respect, none at all. And that's what that leads to: total lack of respect. And a lot of teenagers and 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds say some pretty bad things to good parents. They say some pretty bad things. Really hurt the parents. I see it all the time. But it comes out of the philosophy I'm telling you. So you need to understand that philosophy, and you can't talk a young person out of it. You cannot. You have to see it through their eyes and try to work with their reality as best you can. If you do that, you won't get hurt. If you realize your daughter and your son feel no responsibility for you because they didn't ask to be born, once you absorb that that's their viewpoint, then you get into it. Okay, you have no responsibility towards me, so then I accept it. Can't change it. I can't talk you into saying you have a responsibility towards me. You owe me. No, you can't talk somebody into it. So you say, okay. Then you start making the changes so you don't be destroyed by it. So you don't get upset, angry, disappointed. You start living a more constructive life. You say, son, I love you. I wish you well. I really hope you have a great life. If you ever need me, my counsel, I'm always here for you. God bless you. Have a wonderful life. And you've got to go there. You've got to go there. If you don't, you're going to be hurt, angry, and disappointed. I've seen it over and over again. And that's not healthy for you. You have to see it through their eyes. Not through the eyes that we're talking about, through their eyes. Then you say, okay, I release you to your destiny, and I wish you well, and I love you so much. And let go. There's no choice. The other alternative is to eat yourself alive. My daughter didn't call me in 6 months. I don't hear from them. That thought will eat you up. Yes, it will. That will eat you up.
Hi, Dr. Nerenberg.
Yeah.
Hi, Dr. Nerenberg.
Yes. Is that you? Yes. Stella.
Stella. Yes. I keep hearing all the beautiful comments from everyone here. And as adult children, what resonates to me is that as adult children, we have to spoil our parents. And even though they weren't the perfect parents, we have to consider that because if they weren't great parents or whatsoever, that was actually, because we need to consider that as a blessing, because we learn from that and become stronger human beings from those experiences.
Some people said my father wasn't enough, my mother wasn't enough, but I'm going to become better. I'm going to give my children what they never gave. Let me ask you something. How old are you, Gisela?
I am 45.
45.
Actually, 46.
46. Okay, you're 46. 46, you start having that attitude, which I personally agree with, and I personally like that. I like you, and I like that attitude. But somebody 26 is less likely to have it. Somebody 36 even is going to be less likely to have that. But so when you're saying it, you're preaching to the choir. I agree with that. But what I'm saying is, a lot of them, you cannot say to somebody, you should appreciate your mother. You should appreciate your father. You should appreciate, you should show them respect. You look at all they did for you. That will just alienate somebody who feels, I wasn't asked to be born. I was brought here without my consent. When you're dealing with that attitude, that good advice, that godly advice, falls on deaf ears. As a matter of fact, will push that person away.
The reason I'm saying that is because my mom was orphaned at 3 years old, and she could have grown up to be the worst person or the worst woman or the worst mom ever. But she showed me that regardless of your situation, you just got to overcome all those barriers and become strong for yourself, to show the world that just because you come from a difficult background doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be affected. And we just need to hold strong to what we feel is right in our lives.
You see, your mother was a great woman. I'm not saying she was always the perfect mother by whatever standards we have, but she rose up from her difficulties and she gave you the best possible life she could do. That's highly virtuous. That's a noble individual, a very honorable woman. Now, that deserves respect. That deserves gratitude. You're 46 years old. I'm telling you, there'll be many children, teenagers, 20s, 30s, even 40s, will just say, my mother neglected me. I grew up on the streets. They don't say my mother worked 2 jobs to support me, to put food on the table. No, my mother didn't pay any attention to me, because mother worked 2 to 3 jobs. She would just sleep when she came home. No, the story is not she sacrificed me. The story is, what did she do for me? She neglected me. She didn't talk to me. She was always tired. That's the story that many children would have. So you have to understand the divide on this. Your attitude is the most constructive and spiritual attitude. But we have to understand there's a huge population of people that don't have that. That's what I'm trying to get across here. And we don't want to judge them and put them down. We don't be angry at them. We want to embrace them and say, I understand. We love you. We respect you. and we wish you well, and we'll do our best not to expect anything from you. That's the honorable way to deal with it. Because I'm making this particularly for people who have children who are part of that attitude, part of that philosophy, part of that psychology. Because I have a lot of compassion for you. I know your suffering. I know your disappointment. I know your sense of abandonment. I know your sense of neglect from your children. And it's not something new, but it's gotten worse in recent years, but it's been here for many, many decades. So I'm trying to help those individuals. That's who needs the help. My presentation today is, I think it's a wonderful presentation. It's an inspired presentation. The things you're saying are inspired and beautiful. It's not going to reach that person who says, I didn't ask to be born, you owe me, but I don't have any obligation to you. You will not reach them with your good advice. I will not reach them with this presentation. Won't reach them. We'll stay right into a different viewpoint about it. Who I can reach are all you wonderful, lovely parents who are suffering because you're so disappointed that your children are so indifferent to you and don't show you proper respect. They don't have the gratitude towards you. They're not towards you the way you were to your parents. I want to reach you. I want to help you with your suffering. I want to give you more peace. I want to give you more peace. If you follow what I'm saying to you, your life will be less stressful. If you don't follow it and you continue the path you're on, you're going to be hurt, disappointed, and angry. I don't want you stuck on that. I don't want that for you. This is the only way to go. Or just knock yourself out and beat yourself up and be angry with the kids, or feel guilty. What did I do wrong? How come my son never calls, my daughter never calls? What did I do wrong? Go into this guilt. I don't want you doing that either. Just know this philosophy that's there. I didn't ask to be born. I didn't ask to be born into this world. You brought me here without my consent. You owe me just to help me prosper and thrive. And I have no responsibilities to you whatsoever. You've got to hear me. Not to put these people down. Just realize that's where they're coming from. It's against the divine teachings of any religion, from all the divine educators. But that's reality. You cannot fight this. You cannot fight this. You cannot talk them out of it. But I'm glad you're saying these things, but it's not going to reach them. It's going to reach all of us who already think the way you did. And I'm trying to help people understand the other viewpoint. Me personally, my personal life, my personal values, 100% into we have a responsibility towards our parents. At least those two that I've talked about. And that entails many actions that go with it. But Gisela, you're always amazing. You're always bringing very astute points, very great contributions. That's why I see you as one of the real leaders of the honor movement. Thank you for that, Gisela.
Thank you, Dr. Nerenberg. You inspire me. So that's why I say all the comments, because it's like, with this particular topic is like, nothing's perfect. And yes, some parents can be evil to their children. But, in order to overcome that, let's take it as a blessing, because if we never experience those bad experiences with our parents, we will never become stronger adults as we grow.
It's very interesting.
Overcome all the bad obstacles that we were confronted as children.
I'm going to tell you a case right along these lines. There was a son who got very angry at his father. He said, "Dad, you're the worst father in the world. I've never known a worse father than you." And everybody that knew this father thought he was a great father. In fact, he thought he was a great father. Sacrificed, was always involved with his son, all aspects of life. But the son had that attitude towards him. But the son, to his own children, was very involved, taking the kids to this sport and that sport, very involved. So this father, who was very familiar with the way of honor, said, "Son, I'm very proud of you. That me being a negative example, you decided to be the opposite of me, and you're the best father, and you got that inspiration from me, the worst father. I have much respect for you, son." because he took the son out of his reality and saw that the good he made out of what the son thought was a bad upbringing, and anybody who was objective about it wouldn't agree with that perception. That doesn't matter. It's what the son, how he saw it. And that worked beautifully. And the son said, "Thank you, Dad. I love you." And that's a true case. That's a true case. Somebody who dealt honorably with these dynamics. You got to take them where they're at. Not from where you're at with it. You got to look at their reality. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help all the parents that are disappointed, feel abandoned, neglected, disappointed, angry. I'm trying to help you. You have to pay close attention to what I'm saying. Who else has something you'd like to say?
Hi, Doctor. This is Crystal.
Crystal, good to see you, Crystal.
You did touch on a couple good points on actually some experiences that I've had. You talked about not being angry. My grandpa had a stroke where he couldn't walk or talk anymore when I was 7 months pregnant. And I became his part-time caregiver after working 40, 50 hours a week. I would still come home and take care of him. And I went through a moment of anger because I was raised with both my parents and my grandparents, but I went through a moment of anger because when this initially happened, I felt like, okay, I have myself and all my brothers. It's going to be a group effort. At the end, it was just me. But I had to accept the fact that nothing I said or did was going to change my brothers' minds. I was oldest, they were still adults, but they all said, hey, my life is too busy. I have too much going on. I have work, even though I have 3 daughters, 40 to 50 hours, working 40 to 50 hours, still making time to take care of my grandpa and be his caregiver so that we
now let me ask you, Crystal, a question.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, much respect, Crystal, much respect. I admire you a lot. Let me ask you this question.
Thank you.
Why did you do it? Why? You were so tired, your siblings didn't help you, but you arose and did it, which I respect and admire you. But tell me why.
My parents were very young when they had me. They were 16 and 18. So they had a lot of support from my maternal grandparents, which is my grandpa, who I was taking care of. And I don't think I would have had the childhood I would have had without my grandparents. And I just wanted to be there for them the way they were there for me.
Okay, so that's the reciprocity. Now, let's look at that. Thank you. You're saying you showed me so much love, so much care. You did that for me. I want to do that for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's normal. But I know something about you, Crystal, just from saying that. You don't have the idea that you don't have this philosophy. You don't have the philosophy, I didn't ask to be born. Parents have an obligation to me. I have none towards you because I didn't ask to be born. I know you don't have that philosophy.
No, definitely not.
Okay. How old are you?
41.
41. So if you'd been 21, 31, you may have that philosophy, maybe not. But your philosophy to me is a total virtue. But do you know how many parents that are seeing this who are going to be very frustrated because they feel that's the attitude their children should have towards them or their grandchildren should have towards them and not getting it. So what that does, when they hear a beautiful young lady like you having an attitude towards your grandfather, they're saying, how come my children? How come my grandchildren don't have that for me? I was a good mother. I was a good father. They go, why? We were good. And they're not getting it. Those are the people I'm trying to help.
Yeah. And I think and I was also going to speak on that point. I think for any parents that are feeling that way or feeling like, hey, where did I go wrong? I think we need to understand and almost forgive ourselves and not beat ourselves up because there's so many outside influences. Because I was raised with the same grandparents, the same parents, yet my brothers had a different mindset because of outside influences, whether it's their spouses, whether it's their party.
Exactly. Let me ask you a question. That's exactly true. Same parents, same grandparents. But their parents and grandparents are not a priority for them. Mm-hmm. Your grandparents did a lot for them too. Is that correct?
Yes.
But they don't feel that they have a responsibility. Now, let me ask you this question. What is it about you that you have that responsibility and desire to give back out of gratitude all they did for you, and your siblings don't have that attitude. What's the difference between you? How did that happen?
I don't know exactly how it happened because, like I said, they were there for them exactly just as much as they were there for me. But I've also, I became a mom at 18. I've also tried to be the best role model for my daughters. My oldest is 21. And even her, every once at least, she lives with me, but once a month she'll still send me a message letting me know how much she appreciates me. And that makes me feel good. That not that I don't ask her for it, but just knowing that. And I talk to her a lot. And I think that's one thing that as parents we just need to. I'm a firm believer we need to continue communicating because there's so much outside noise.
Now let me interject for a second. Now, you said many, many important things, so I want to stop you because I want to reiterate it. In some sense, we're the parent or we're the grandparents. But as Crystal said, it's really society that raises the children, their peers, the teachers. For a lot of the children, that becomes their guide in life. Shouldn't be like that, but that's how it is. So you're giving all that great guidance, all that love, but they're being then raised by hearing their peers. So let's say you really care about your daughter and you don't want her, and she's 16 years old and you have a curfew at 12 midnight. She goes, "What? All my friends stay up to 2, 3 in the mornings. I hate you for making me do that. Why are you doing that?" All their parents think you're a weirdo making me come home midnight. They don't see it as mom cares about me.
Mm-hmm.
No, you were confining me, frustrating my identity, and I'll never forget it. As opposed to saying, "Gee, mom, you love me. I know I needed protection. It's dangerous out there at night, especially for a young woman." No, you deprived me. All my friends were having a good time, 2, 3 in the morning, and you made me come home. You were mean. You didn't respect my reality. You took away my independence and my right. That goes on a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So the parent who cares looks like they're abusive or it looks like they're mean.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't talk somebody out of that. You can't talk to that daughter or son and say, "Hey, it's because mother cared." No, it's mean. And you can't, that's how that goes. So you were so right. These other influences, now some children, possibly your siblings, allow people who don't know better take on their ideas. What it means to be a son or a daughter, and what their rights are. And then the parent is violating those rights by not allowing them to stay out all night. You violated my rights. No, you didn't protect me. You violated my rights. And that's the bad story that they'll have. They won't say, "Gee, Mom, thanks I didn't understand at the time, but thank you for protecting me in ways that I didn't understand." That's a fair thing to say, but that's not going on with many of the children now.
Yeah, and I think I just right now that we were talking about this, one example came to mind, or a situation came to mind where I still feel appalled by it. When you talk about like all these, you have teachers, you have social media, all these other influences. There's a trend on social media where kids are graduating from high school and making a video of them throwing the diploma at their parents' face and saying, "Here's your diploma." Like basically, I graduated just because you made me go to school. And there was, a Hispanic girl who threw it at her mom, an older lady, and just threw it at her face. And "Here's your diploma." And she's laughing. The daughter's laughing about it. And they think this is funny because it's a social media trend that's going on.
Well, let me tell you something. So when you talk about this Hispanic girl, you're Hispanic yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you wouldn't do that, but this is the influence. So here's the question. Why are some children allowing themselves to be influenced by that, by their friends and social media? And some go, "That's horrible. I would never do that. I'm appalled by that. Instead, someone going, yeah, here's your damn diploma. You made me do this thing. I just wanted to be out having fun and, being a teenager, and you made me study. And I didn't know it was a trend. That's
yeah, I just saw it yesterday, and I was shocked by that. I mean, but it's just, as a parent now, I think with social media, you have to work 10 times harder to just kind of keep your children on that right path or continue talking to them, because they have all this outside, influence that guides in different paths.
Well, there's another, firstly, I agree with you. However, in many cases, a losing battle. In many cases, all a person can say is, I understand your reality. You felt like I violated your rights. I made you go to school. You didn't want to go. I made you come into this world. You didn't ask to be born. I understand your anger, your resentment. I don't know what I can do for you to make up for that, for what you're seeing. Just know that I love you. I did my best, and please forgive me for whatever offenses I've caused you. And can that son or that daughter get past that? Firstly, the parent has to be pretty humble to do that. They have to be able to realize from that perspective, they owe an apology. From their perspective, not from my perspective. Mm-hmm. From that adult child's perspective. And one-time apology and asking forgiveness, maybe one time will do it. Maybe it'll never do it. But you need to know that all the beautiful things that you're such a beautiful young lady, and the beautiful things you're saying will not reach these people that I'm talking about, the masses, the ones who throw the diploma in their mother's faces. They're not going to listen to what you're saying. So, but we can help the parents to know this is what's going on. I'm trying to help parents deal with it in a way that won't destroy you. Thank you, Crystal, for your input.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Nerenberg.
Yes.
Crystal,
hey.
Can I say something to Crystal?
Okay. Yes, Crystal.
Crystal, I think you're a beautiful and strong woman, very exemplary and very admirable. I just want to share with you that I have a similar situation in my own life where I was a caregiver for my eldest sister who has cerebral palsy, and I was the caregiver since I was a kid all my life. And when you touched on those subjects, I just knew that you learned all this because life made us strong women given our situation and because we love our family.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. And I understand the struggle. I can totally relate to everything you were saying because we love our family and we have to take care of our loved ones. Yeah. And it's hard when they're disabled. So just want to let you know you're not alone. I admire you. And a great, strong woman, very admirable.
Thank you. Likewise. And yeah, and I did the same for my mom who passed away from cancer, and she was on hospice her last 3 months. And I'm not going to say it was easy. I mean, there was many nights that I laid with her and I just cried because I was so physically and mentally exhausted, but there was no way I was going to leave her side through that. Like, no matter how exhausted I had my daughters spending the night with me at my mom's on couches, and we just stood by her side to her very last day. And that's one thing that I will never regret. As much as, I took time away from my daughters, they knew we had to be there. They knew and my youngest or my middle child was only 7 years old. And she'd be rubbing my mom's back. She'd massage my mom's back. She'd bring her water. She'd bring her cup to throw up, So it was hard, but I would do it 100 times over again, because I know that I'm at peace with the decisions I made. As hard as they were, I knew unfortunately, they weren't going to be forever because, they were nearing the end of life. My grandpa did last 10 years with us, so that was a very long time. But my mom was on hospice just for a few months, and it was difficult, but I would do it all over again.
Well, you know what both of you are saying, I'm really glad you're sharing this because it shows that there are beautiful human beings amongst us. And I'm going to say something that might sound too strong, but this is very saintly. We have saintliness amongst us, true nobility and true greatness. And most importantly, when you're 95-year-old ladies, you can be able to say, I lived a life of honor and I have no regrets. That's a beautiful thing to be able to say. I've lived my life of honor and I have no regrets. That's a beautiful thing to be able to say when you're 95 years old. And that's what's coming. Believe me, it'll come like that. I'm 84 yesterday, and I'm serious. Yesterday, I was 28. It's like that. So I'm really glad. Again, I think everybody who's heard you, Crystal, and Gisela, they all respect you, both of you. We admire you. And it's an inspiration, and it gives hope for what's still in this world. At the same time,
thank you, Giselle, for your kind words. I really appreciate that, and likewise to you as well.
Welcome. I just keep hearing you speak, and I just feel so honored to hear your story, and I can relate to it. And you're a strong, beautiful woman, and it's not easy.
I know. I got the chills. I got the chills when you told me that you were your sister's caregiver, because unless you've been in that position, in a situation where you have to, bathing them, changing them, and it's just, and you do it without hesitation,
Yeah.
Well,
imagine I was doing this when I was a kid, because both my parents had to work. So on the weekends we would stay with her and take care of her. And I started,
God
started
bless
doing that
you.
at a young age. So that's what, I just commend you for your beautiful acts. It was very inspiring, and I can relate. And you're a beautiful, strong woman.
Thank you. Likewise.
Let me add this. What I've witnessed in my own life with my wife, she took care of my mother-in-law, who lived with us the last 5 years of her life. She had Alzheimer's. My wife did everything, bathed her, wiped her out on the toilet. And my own mother was living with us for a month. She was down from Toronto. My wife did the same for my mother. And she was happy to do it. She never complained about it. And so there are people that are saintly. By the way, I couldn't have done it, just so you know. I'm a good guy, but I couldn't have done it. So what both of you ladies have done, what I've witnessed my wife doing, there are saints among us. These are saintly behaviors and an inspiration. And
they're amazing behaviors, amazing.
And hopefully, these stories will be carried on and through this video, and other people will be inspired to arise to that. That's the hope. At the same time, I'm trying to help parents and grandparents who feel neglected and abandoned to realize where their children or grandchildren are coming from. But thank you for that. Who else has something you'd like to ask or say?
Hi, Dr. Nerenberg.
Yes, please. John, please, John. Good to see you, yes. John, always.
I just wanted to say I completely agree with you as a son of a pretty hardcore narcissistic mother. I did have that hate in my heart for a long time, but after reflecting, I appreciated everything that she did for me. And it was the most honorable thing that I could do was give her a chance, right? But one thing that I wasn't really mentioned was like setting boundaries as well. Because I'm sure there could be narcissistic parents in here licking their chops right now saying, yes, you have a point, right? And
John,
I said, I'll give you an opportunity. Here are my boundaries, and if it doesn't work out. And then the second thing, if I could just play devil's advocate also, is that my opinion, just the thought of like why this might be happening with the younger generation too, is a lack of spirituality, right?
Absolutely true. That's absolutely true.
Saying that you owe me everything, like a narcissist, then that right there, the kid will be like, well, I don't owe you everything, So I believe in balance, and I feel like the lack of spirituality is being balanced.
Totally, the lack of spirituality. Totally true. I totally agree with that. Now, what I prefaced everything I said about responsibilities to your parents on one factor: a normal mother, normal father. A highly narcissistic mother, that's not normal. That's not a normal situation, because a true narcissist has this idea: you exist only to serve my needs. Other than that, you have no reality. Now, when you have a parent like that and they exist, all bets are off. The best you can do is not hate them, not resent them, love them, and do what you have to do to survive with them. Draw boundaries, whatever. But the lack of spirituality, because if somebody's spiritual, I don't care what religion you are, honor thy parents. That's there. Now, I want to reiterate again. No religion says honor thy children. Not one. And it's not because the divine educators forgot to mention it. It's because it's natural to parents to make that sacrifice and do everything for their children. But they had to say to the children, honor thy parents, because otherwise the children go off in their own selfish ends on things. That's why it's taught in every religion. Every spiritual path has that.
Yeah, doctor, and I think something that you said, or maybe somebody else said too, is that through that trauma, though, it creates better people too. So, like, I mean, as a parent with my son and my soon-to-be second son, I, as a father, I don't really care if they feel like they owe me anything, as long as they believe in a higher power. They're trying to be a good person, and they're actively trying to become a better person than I could be, essentially. Not just material, but that.
John, so that's the two. Remember what I said, the two responsibilities? One is to manifest the goodness that we inculcated, that we help encourage in them. But there's a second one, John, that I said, to remember the good that you are and the good you did for them. It's good for them to do that. It makes them happier. And it's good for them spiritually to remember the good. Because right now, there's a pervasive lack of gratitude and remembrance of the good that was done for them. And that is destroying a generation. Destroying them. Now, when you have that, there's no loyalty. No loyalty. No sense of gratitude. No sense of respect. And that will destroy the very fabric of society. But again, when I'm presenting this is to reach all you parents, all you wonderful, beautiful parents who have done so much, you've sacrificed so much, you've done so much good, and your children are not grateful. They don't show you the proper respect. They've abandoned you or neglect you, trying to take away your expectation, your disappointment, your anger. I want to help give you peace. You're the ones that I'm trying to reach. You're the ones. Nobody's trying to help you. I'm trying to help you. You have to pay close attention to what I've said. Watch this video over and over again. Get the message. You're the ones I want to help. Yes, you. Thank you, John. As always, John. Yes, you.
For those who have a spiritual belief, even if your grandparents and parents have passed on, you can still thank them.
For those who have a spiritual belief, he was saying you can still thank them. I advocate that every night to say to your parents, your grandparents, your loved ones who have gone on, I love you so much. I'm so grateful for all you've done for me. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, that's healthy. And it's virtuous. It's a beautiful way to live, and it's the honorable thing to do. Yes, you.
To touch on what the ladies were saying, when I was visiting my wife every day in the nursing home, there were so many people in there that never got a visit.
Yeah, when Hugh visited his wife, she had a stroke. She was in a nursing home. There were so many people that never got a visitor, and that was tragic. They were neglected, abandoned, and some of them, I mean, not the best parents, and some of them were probably great parents. But again, this is not to condemn a generation. This is really meant for those wonderful, beautiful parents, your beautiful mothers, your beautiful fathers, good mothers and good fathers that did the best you could, that sacrificed, and now the gratitude, the respect, the attention is not there. Pay attention to what I've been saying. You're the ones I'm trying to help. Because you're the ones who suffer. You're the ones who are disappointed. You're the ones who feel abandoned. You're the ones who feel disrespected. You're the ones who are even angry about it. Whatever I could do for you, that's what I want to do this evening. I'm trying to help you with that. Anybody else have something you want to ask or say?
Hi, Dr. Neil. This is Mercy Jarogia.
Oh, Mercy. Always good to hear from you, Mercy.
Yeah, thank you. That was a wonderful talk and lecture. I mean, there's a lot watching what's going on nowadays. It's really sad. I'm African, and our traditions were very adamant about respecting our parents. It was almost unheard of a child to talk back and not take care of your parents. It was expected of us to do that.
Remember, excuse me, let me interrupt. I want to go point by point with you because that's a wonderful, wonderful point. At the beginning, I said it's cultural. I was talking about particularly children in America and many of the Western nations. But there's so many wonderful nations like in Africa and other nations in other areas of the world where there is that respect for the parents and a sense of responsibility. But yes, but our society at this time, as you know, it's lacking, severely lacking. Again, not to condemn the people, but just to get an understanding and a perspective of what's happening so that we can accept it and deal with it honorably. Yes, please continue, Mercy.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of us immigrants who have come here. Maybe we were raised back in Africa and we are having children who are born here. There's a conflict a lot, parents are battering heads with your children because it's like a different generation.
Different generation and a different culture.
Yeah. So this is really formative and hearing other people's views. And it's spiritually and everything else. You always know that you honor your parents. You never talk back. You take care of them. I mean, you can have differences, but
Mercy, let me interrupt you here because I want to go point by point. You're a beautiful, beautiful human being. Beautiful.
Thank you.
And I have so much respect and admiration for you. Truly, I know you very well. Now, just so you know, and I want to reiterate this again, that your advice, which I 100,000% agree with, will not reach many of the young people today. Mm-hmm. So what I'm trying to do is help the parents who are not going to have a daughter like you. Mm. We're not going to have a son like you.
That's true.
And so I want to help them say, okay, your children say they didn't ask to be born. They have no obligation to you in their mind. You have to work with that reality. You can't try to guilt them into having a care for you. They are that way. It's not totally their fault, but that's what they're thinking. And so you have to just love them. Say, I'm here for you whenever you need me. Maybe not financially. You don't want to give money to a kid like that. You say, I don't want to give this kid money, but I'll give you guidance. Or sometimes you want to give them money, but a lot of times those kind of kids only come around when they want money. You say, no, I'm not going to give you money, but I love you. You know, if you're starving, come live with me. But, you know. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you honestly. Mm-hmm. You see, you have a son, you have a daughter, and they don't show you respect. Now, let me tell you something. Mm-hmm. That's not your son. That's not your daughter. No. That's your offspring. Only respect for you makes our daughter and his son. That's your offspring. Mm-hmm. You had sex with your spouse, your boyfriend, your partner, your fiance. The child came. That's your offspring. Yeah. But that's not your, you think that's your daughter. No, you're the mother, but that's not a daughter unless they show you respect. So they could be an offspring for a while. Then if they come around, eventually show respect, then you're a daughter, then you're a son. I know that sounds harsh. But if you have somebody you met, and that young person, same age as your own daughter or your own son, and they show you respect and they check in on you and they show that they love you and are concerned about you, isn't that your daughter? Don't you say, that's my daughter, that's my son? Now, yeah, because that's what makes a daughter or son. The other offspring, in other words, a woman that came out through your vagina. Your egg was fertilized through your spouse, your partner, and that child came out. Then you nursed that child on your breast. You did all you could for that child, thinking that's your daughter and that's your son. But if they don't show you respect, is that really a son? Is that really a daughter or an offspring? Which would you call that person? So that,
You're right.
yeah. So I know it's hard to do that. See, no, that's my son, it's my daughter. Maybe they're not right. Okay, if you have to think them that way, go ahead. But just remember, they look at you as a birth mother, as a birth father who owes them. You have to look at through their eyes. Again, I'm not putting these people down. You're the birth mother. You're the birth father. You brought them into a world that they didn't ask to be brought into. You raised them because you owed them. You did this person. Now you got to turn this person loose, and you'll always love that person. Always. But I love you. I wish you well. I'm here for you if you need me. And I'm trying to reach so many of you who are going through this because I'm trying to deal with your disappointment, your sense of abandonment, your anger. I'm trying to help you. And there's nothing anybody could say here. There's nothing I could say, nothing you can say that will change that person's mind, that person that you think is your son, you think is your daughter. You cannot change that mind. It's already, that's the mindset. Everything's then perceived through those lenses. And we don't want to condemn them. We don't want to put them down. We don't want to be angry at them. We want to love them. And I release you to your destiny, and I wish you well, son. My daughter, I love you, and I wish you well. I release you to your destiny. If you ever need me, I'm here. Now, can you ever totally achieve that? Probably not. But that's the direction you want to go in. That's the direction you want to go in for their sake and mostly for your sake. See, you got so disappointed, so hurt, so angry. Trying to help you. Mercy, thank you for sharing that. You've illustrated my original point that a lot of this is cultural. I'm talking about here, in the year 2025, in the United States of America, the situation, and I'm sure it applies to a lot of Western nations.
Thank you, Doctor.
Mercy, thank you so much. As always, you're a very wise person.
For saying that.
Yes, thank you. Who else has something you want to ask or say?
Hi, Dr. Nerenberg. This is Tracy.
Tracy, I know your situation very, very, very well. Yes.
Yeah. By the way, thank you. This is a hot topic. And I mean, I know every single person here has been through it in one way or another with their parents, or they are a parent and they're going through it in one way or another with their children. And I feel like even with my parents, I feel like when I was younger, like when I was a child, I felt like their love for me was so much more. And then it's almost like as if I got older, it's like that's when they became, I don't know, a certain type of way with me. And it's almost like, why don't you love me like you used to, kind of thing. But regardless, I forgive them because they did the best they could with how they were raised, with their traumas and everything. And all I can do, like, I don't remember which one of, I mean, everyone just said so many great things, but it's like you have to spoil your parents in a way, because it's just like, hey, just let you know, like, I haven't forgotten about you. I love you. Like, I'm here for you. And just kind of like showing them love, no matter how, and for the most part, no matter how they treated you, depending on the situation. But this is a great topic because, besides the fact that you know my background and everything, and
very well,
I just feel everyone else's, stories. I'm like, man, here are these children that they still love their elders, and they're, no matter what, they're like, you gotta kind of still love and care for them, because the way I was raised, it was like, when we raised you and care for you, that way when we get old, you can take care of us.
Well, here's the thing, Tracy. Here's the question. Firstly, I know how devoted you are to your parents. I know the issues that are going on that were very, very difficult for anybody. And I know I saw a video of you shaving your father's hair and his beard and, you know, really pampering him and taking care of him. And I know what you do for your brother, and I know how you are towards your mother. And I understand your compassion you have for them because you understand their limitations. And so you say, I appreciate all they've done, even though there was less love compared to when I was younger. And some things that were said and done that were difficult, very, very difficult. And I would say created many challenges and obstacles in your own thinking, the feedback you had. I understand that. But still, for some reason, you continued your devotion. That's the word I want to use. You continued your devotion to your mother, your devotion to your father, your devotion to your siblings, your devotion to grandparents. I've seen it in you. And I want to ask you, how come, given the shortcomings of your parents, how come you maintain that devotion? What is it about you where you didn't say, I don't owe you anything. You did this to me. You did that to me. I don't owe you anything. Instead, you're devoted to them. How did that happen for you?
I would say the one and only reason why, and it goes back to honor, and this was before I even became religious, that God said, honor your mother and father. And that's what it really is for me, because there's just been so many things. And I'm like, no, they brought me here. They're all I have as far as my parents. I wasn't raised by any other grandparents, uncles, aunts, or anything like that. And I got to respect them. Even if they don't respect me, it's, I love you, I forgive you. I just want you to leave this world knowing that you believe in God and you believe in, goodness and love.
Well, here's the thing, Tracy. Tracy, I'm sorry to interrupt you because there's so many valuable things you're saying. I don't want it to get lost. Honor thy parents. For some reason, you took that to heart, even before you became religious. And then you became one of the main leaders in the honor movement. And you manifested more and more honor and more greatness. And became a servant of the family. You could have easily have said, well, you weren't good to me, you did this to me, you did that to me. And but all of that was offset because honor thy parents, your blood. They did the best they could. You were able to say, did the best they could given the limitations. That's awesome. They did the best they could given their upbringing and their limitations. That is so merciful. That is so generous. That is so kind. It's so true. So that's a miracle that some people really take this to heart. But I'm sure you know this, Tracy. There's a whole different attitude going on. I've done my best to describe that. And my job this evening is to help all those parents, all those grandparents that feel hurt and abandoned, neglected. Given that you are good parents and did all you could, you're the ones I want to help. All these things you're hearing from beautiful people like Tracy and Crystal and John and Grisella, all the beautiful people that have spoken up. And you're not getting that from your children or your grandchildren. You're not getting that. That's got to make it even worse for you, saying, gee, there's still people like this. How come my children are like that? How come my grandchildren are not like that? So all these beautiful people, beautiful, lovely, lovely, lovely people, so many of my people that are listening don't have that. They say, oh my God, that's what I thought I was going to have. I was so devoted. That's what I thought I'd have, and I don't have it. Why? And so my job, I'm not looking to help you that much because you're good. I'm looking to help these parents. And those of you who have your own children, many of you are going to suffer from the lack of respect and gratitude from this generation. Again, not to condemn them, not to put them down, but to understand where they're coming from. That's the goal of what I'm trying to do tonight. Thank you so much for that, Tracy.
Thank you.
Well, I got to sign off. We have about a minute left. What a great pleasure, what a great honor it has been to hear all the beautiful, beautiful individuals, wonderful, saintly people. It's been my privilege to present to you today what are the responsibilities of adult children to their parents.